I'm so excited to have each and every one of you here. It's one of our largest tournaments ever. And, I think a lot of you have been putting really a large amount of hard work into this tournament. So appreciate all the work you've done throughout the school year and leading up to this tournament as well. For this opening ceremony, we're just going to talk a little bit about the rules, how the tournament's going to work, what you can expect, and then we'll go ahead and get the debate started in the next 20-30 minutes. Cool. So, starting off, again, welcome to this tournament. Like I said, this is Fremont Debate Academy's fifth annual international tournament. And just to introduce Fremont Debate Academy as a nonprofit, I think most of you, pretty much all of you, have participated in a Fremont Debate Academy program or are affiliated with one. But Fremont Debate Academy's mission is to create a debate and civics program in every school in every district across the world. And over the past 10 to 11 years since 2014, we've operated in 19 states, 8 countries, and taught far more than 7,500 students. And all of this is done with a really great volunteer team that have put together 45,000 plus volunteer hours. And in today's tournament, we have teams from very diverse locations. We have teams from Fremont, California, a bunch of teams across the city, teams from all over the place that participated in our summer program, from students from programs across the world, including Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, Kansas, East Bay Debate League affiliated programs, which is a league that Fremont Debate Academy works really closely with, as well as teacher-run programs in Broward County, Florida. So welcome to the Fremont Debate Academy family, no matter who you are and where you're from. Today we have more than 110 FDA teams competing, and it's really just really exciting to see all of you come together and compete today. So yeah, thank you so much for coming here. And this is a good time to just kind of share. Please do follow us on social media. You can check us out on our Facebook page, you can check us out on our Instagram page, and you can check us out on our website. So please do just give a like to our Facebook page or follow us on our Instagram page. That'd be really great. And you can always check out our website. You can see a lot more information about our programs there, about our summer camp there, about achievements that our students are having, our rest of our leadership team, and all of that. Cool. So as all you know, I'm just going to be going over some of the basics, but just to make sure everybody's on the same page, the novice third to fifth grade division and the novice sixth to eighth grade division are all going to be having one topic, and that is that the U.S. voting age should be lowered to 16. The advanced third to fifth grade division and the advanced sixth grade division are all going to be having one topic, and that is the U.S. federal government should increase the minimum wage. Most of you have already debated this topic in your schools, during your school programs or your summer camp programs. But if you haven't, I know you have been preparing for this topic for a few weeks now. So hopefully everybody feels ready, and I'm sure all of you are going to do really great. Please remember to have your plans ready for both sides. That means that some rounds you're going to be proposition and some rounds you're going to be opposition. It's going to be completely randomized, right? There isn't going to be any pattern to it, right? Very good chance in the first three preliminary rounds that you get to have proposition and opposition, right? At least once. So remember you have contentions from both sides. Have them ready. And over the next 20 minutes as we start doing the debates, make sure to put in a little bit extra time thinking about refutes as well, right? Can you proactively think about a few refutes to what the opponents are saying because you've already prepared for the other side? Trust me, the best way to win a debate is actually to have really great refutes. That's the way to stand out. Cool. Some tournament-specific logistics that hopefully everyone's familiar with at this point, but just to share again, all cameras must be on. If you have some very specific technical issue, please let your room coordinator know. But otherwise, all cameras must be on. We want to make sure that everyone's present, everyone feels confident, and everyone's able to see each other while debating. Everyone should be muted when not talking, right? Because it's an online tournament, we want to make sure that there is no chaos, right? So please be muted when you're not talking. Note that there's no prep time. So as soon as the debate start, you might get a few minutes just as everyone's coming into your breakout room, but otherwise there's no prep time and there's no time between speeches. So once the speech happens, maybe you can get like 20, 30 seconds to just like quickly gather your thoughts, but then we got to keep going because it's a long tournament and we want to make sure that we can be on schedule. Now, some of you may be wondering how you can communicate and discuss with your teammates on a group chat, right? And you can do that on a group chat. And so what you can do is you can go ahead and just like talk on Discord or on a Google chat or something like that, right? That way you can talk during the Zoom round itself. Try not to do it over Zoom because it's a bit harder to talk with the rest of your teammates. Okay, cool. Also, there's no recording and screenshotting of debates. So please do not go and record and screenshot any debates. We just don't want any issues and anyone feeling uncomfortable. And spectators or anyone that's you're interested in watching your debate are only allowed, like a parent or a friend, are only allowed if everyone in the room agrees. So if all the teammates agree and all the judges agree, then you can go and have spectators. Cool. Um, let's talk about team specific logistics. So as you know, teams can either have two people or three people. There's very, very rare occasions where one or two of you have only one person teams because your teammates last minute dropped out. So props to you for doing that. But generally, teams will either have two people or three people. In two-person teams, one person gives both the first and last speech, right? So if you're the first speaker, you're also going to be the last speaker in two-person team. If you're a three-speaker team, like normal, then everyone just speaks once. Please make sure all your teammates show up for all three preliminary rounds, and if you make it, the semifinals and finals. If you don't show up, you get zero speaker points. And what happens is that when we decide who makes it to semifinals and finals, we not only look at how many wins you have, but we look at speaker points as well, right? So it's really important to try to make sure you get high speaker points as a team, right, for each individual speaker, as well as you actually win the debate, right? Try your best, of course. But it's really important to consider that if your teammate doesn't show up, they get zero speaker points, you're probably automatically not going to, make it to semifinals and finals. So make sure your teammates are always there, and it's really important that you don't leave the Zoom room throughout the tournament, right? If you have to leave for like 1 or 2 minutes, it's fine, but make sure you come back. That way your room coordinator knows and doesn't get worried that you're missing. I would communicate with your teammates throughout the tournament, right? On their Google chat, Discord, through email, whatever you want. Worst case, Zoom and let the individual managing your room, right? So that is for novice 3 to 5, that's Francis and Manvi. For advanced 3 to 5, that's Isha. For novice 6 to 8, it's Misha. And for advanced 6 to 8, it's Rachit. Let the individual managing your room know if you can't get a hold of your teammate, right? That's really important so we can make calls to their parents. Cool. Um, Now let's just quickly do a quick demo of how the pairings are going to work and where you can find all the information and everything like that. All right. So I'm just gonna quickly, this is this year's tab room, right? You can see 2025, all the topics are here, a bunch of the rules are here, the schedule is here. You can see a bunch of resources over here. This is a 2024 tournament. The 2024 tournament, the reason I'm showing it is that it's illustrative of what you can expect in the 2025 tournament, right? So you can see it's the same thing over here, but you'll see pairings, right? These pairings are obviously not out and they'll be released once each of the rounds start. Well, let's just look at example for novice 3 to 5 round 1. So over here, you can see a bunch of teams for Novice 3 to 5. It's our biggest division, right? And you can see that when we release Novice 3 to 5 round 1, which we will in 20, 30, 40 minutes time, then what we'll do is that we'll actually tell you if you're proposition or opposition. You'll see your team name, and then you'll see if you're proposition or opposition, right? So what I would do is go and find your team name, and then go to the breakout room that you're assigned to. So if you're FDA Durham, Agrawal, and Mutan Gasami and Swing, and FD Harvey Green Bringers, Abbas and Kanumeta and Jones, you both should go to A1, and your judge, Tanvi, will also go to A1, right? So that's how you want to be able to do that. And you can do that, and you can see all the other breakout rooms over here. If you have any questions, please let the individual managing the breakout room know. Cool. And you'll see the same thing happening for round 2, round 3, semifinal, and final. And then for novice 6 to 8, you'll see something similar, and you'll see, B1, B2, B3, B4, etc. And for advanced 3 to 5, it'll be the C breakout rooms. For advanced 6 to 8, it'll be the D breakout rooms. Right? If you have any questions, please let your room coordinator know. Great. The next thing I want to share is the live document. Hopefully everyone's familiar with this live document, right? But this is just an example live document from this year for the novice 3rd to 5th grade division. You'll find your topic. If you ever lose your Zoom link for the main Zoom, you can find it over here. There's a bunch of other information over here. There's the opening ceremony link. There's the award ceremony link. If you have any issues where you feel like something's unfair or something's going wrong or something's not like, you think it's not equitable, then you can press the equity form. And then you can see the tab room over here, and that's pretty much all you need, right? So live documents your best friend. It will be where all the resources are. But then go to tab room to see all the pairings. And you do not need to actually need your student email registered on tab room. You don't need that at all. Only if your parents are judging do they need to be registered on tab room. Otherwise, you do not need to be registered. You'll find everything on tab room, and everything will be done through Zoom breakout rooms. Great. Cool. So let's quickly just talk about MSPDP structure. So today we're going to be using the debate format, the middle school public debate format, right? Or it's called the middle school public debate program, and the format is, MSPDP. And there's 6 speeches, right? The first one is proposition 1, then opposition 1, proposition 2, opposition 2, opposition 3, and proposition 3. So every speaker speaks once. Again, if you're a two-person team, your first speaker only speaks. Sorry, your first speaker also does a third speech. If you're a one-person team in the rare occasion, then you just do all the speeches, right? And just make sure you go in order, right? And then make sure that everybody's prepared for every single speech. You're going to have maybe 15, 20 seconds in between speeches to gather your thoughts. Each speech is up to 5 minutes. And I know some of you won't be able to speak to 5 minutes, but the closer you get, the higher speaker points you're probably going to get, right? The speaker point range is going to be between 67 and 82. And all of you should try to get as high as possible. And the best way to do that is to speak for long, right? Is to speak confidently, is to have good arguments, have good refutes, have good structure, speak slowly, right? All of those things that I'm sure everyone's familiar with. And all of you should have the speaker points rubric, but if not, we can go and share that later on. Um, if you go more than 5 minutes, you have 15 seconds, or maybe a grace period to wrap up your thought, but after 5 minutes, 15 seconds, you should end your speech. And in case your judge isn't timing you, I would recommend you as opponents to time your opponents while they're speaking so that they don't just go over time and get to speak for like 7 minutes or 8 minutes, right? So that's up to you. It's up to the kids in the debate to actually go and monitor that. POIs are encouraged. POIs are basically questions or statements that you can ask your opponents, and all you have to do is just unmute yourself, right? It's called point of information, and these are ways to challenge your opponents while they're speaking. They can only be done in the first four speeches, and they cannot be done in the last two speeches, and they can only be done in the first to 4 minutes, meaning the last minute and the first minute of any speech, you cannot do it, and you cannot do it in the last two speeches. So if you have any questions about that, please speak to your room coordinator as well. But we strongly recommend doing POIs. It's a way to show that you're really involved in the debate, and you'll get higher speaker points because of it. Heckles are not allowed, right? So do not do any heckles. I think it's just too chaotic with online debates, so we're not doing heckles. Great. If you have any other questions about POIs, again, ask your room coordinator, and then you can also go to our YouTube playlist, and we have like a little video about POIs if you're really unsure. And we strongly recommend everybody to actually accept some POIs, right? So if you're a speaker, if your opponents are POIing, accept one or two POIs, but don't accept more than that, because then your opponents are just taking over your speech, right? So it's important to have some balance. Cool. And it's up to the teammates to monitor that everybody's POIing within the rules. So you're not POIing your last two speeches, you're not POIing in the first and last minute of the first four speeches. It's up to all the teammates and the opponents to make sure we're monitoring and making sure everyone's following the rules. The judges may not be fully aware of all the rules. Most of them are, but some of them, it's the first time they're judging if they're a parent judge, right? So don't count on them. Count on yourself to know the rules. All speakers, apart from Proposition 1, should refute. Proposition 1 cannot refute because there's nothing to refute because they're the first speech. But remember, refuting is the way to win a debate. Don't just rely on your contentions. Make sure to refute every single speech. And if you're not sure how to actually, when should we refute, how to structure your refutes, if you go to the MSPDP basics document, it explains all of this in detail. And if you don't know where that is, please just ask your room coordinator and they'll give that to you. Refuting again means to disagree with your opponent's points or refutes. It's a really way just to, have some clash in the debate, not that just everybody gives a speech with their points. Great. Everybody should be following a contention structure. Contentions are basically points or arguments, really. Like, for example, if the topic is the US should lower the voting age to 16, a point or a contention in this case for the proposition would be that lowering the voting age allows young people to have a voice, right? That's kind of the contention. And a contention would have 5 parts. Assertion, which is like 5 to 7 words, which is what I just said, like allows young people to have a voice. Should have reasoning, which is a couple of sentences about why that's a good thing, or why that's a thing. Evidence, right? Make sure you have good evidence, have a source, and then also have impact, right? So explain like why is it important for young people to have a voice, right? Well, maybe young people having a voice means that they're going to be more politically active. It means that they're going to actually also care more about politics when they grow up. They're going to care more about their community. They'll have all these impacts, right? And each team should have 3 to 4 contentions. So generally, the first speaker gives 2 contentions, and the second speaker gives the remaining contentions. Sometimes you can have a different split, like 3-1, or like if they only have 3 contentions, 2-1. But the first and second speaker should do all the contentions, and make sure you already have prepared who's going to say what. The third speaker should not give any new contentions. This is really important. Again, the third speaker should not have any new contentions. As explained in the MSPDP Basics document, the third speaker's role is really just to summarize your team's contentions, summarize your team's refutes, and then really just explain to the judge why your side is better, right? Also known as a two-world analysis. But really just important to impact, important to explain why your team wins. It's your last chance to really show the judge why your team should win. But only the first two speeches should have contentions. All right, well, that's pretty much all we have to share. Good luck. Remember that this is a tournament, but really we're just trying to have fun, right? All of you are elementary and middle schoolers, right? This is a low stakes tournament. Regardless of how you do, I think all of you are going to do really great. All of you should be really proud for how hard you've prepared. Sometimes, things don't go your way. Sometimes things do go your way. But in the end, make sure that you're having a good time. Make sure you're trying to learn a lot, and take some learnings for the future, right? Some of you, if you're elementary schoolers, maybe going to middle school and doing more competitive debate. Some of you are in middle school and going to go to high school where things get really competitive. These are all learnings. No one's going to remember how you did in this tournament, but everyone's going to remember the learnings and experiences that you had, right? And even if you don't continue debate in the future, hopefully you'll get something from this tournament. You'll learn how to work with teammates. You'll learn how to compete. You'll learn how to, really just work hard towards something. And that's just really important, right? So everyone's going to do really great. If you have any questions, remember, always ask your room coordinator. And then best of luck. Thanks so much for competing and really excited for the rest of the day. Awesome. Thanks, everyone.